G'day guys, welcome back to SuperCoach with DR and welcome to the Round 5 Stock Market video. Hope you're all going well. I'll tell you what, we have a few potential moves to make this week. A very popular premium in our defensive line, being Sam Docherty, is now a must trade out. He'll be gone for 4 to 6 weeks, so what on earth do we do there? Luckily, I have some options for you, a couple of really nice options going into this week. We do have some bubble boys coming up, particularly Jacob van Rooyen, that we can select in our forward lines. Maybe a good idea to involve him in your plan somehow this week, but there is a lot going on. We're all, going through different things at the moment. I'm in a diabolical situation with my team, but I had a bit of a rant in my round review. I'm now switching up my attitude. I'm getting positive again. Let's go forward from here. And I tell you what, if you're struggling like me, this is a video to watch because I'll give you every relevant SuperCoach option from every line, from every price point. So hope you enjoy, guys. I'm going to keep the intro pretty short. Let's start off and see who's at the top of the list for our 500k plus defenders. At the top of the list this week, we have Liam Baker, defensive forward status. Great courage in the first, going back with a flight, which really set the tone for a great first half, gathering 19 touches, but really faded after that, only finished with the 25 for the game. Could be a handy swing with Jay-Z and Sheasel in a couple of weeks, but consistency is the main issue with the Baker selection. Jordan Dawson, what a start he had. Everything he touched turned to gold, and he was rewarded with a 47-point first quarter. Then went bang again in the second, tackling, contested ball, 1-2s, literally did everything apart from kick a goal. The frustration that was running through me was unreal. I had this bloke in my preseason side. I'd classified him as a lock. Then I decided to be a little bit of a sheep and follow the crowd with Doch. Why didn't I stick to my gut? 103 points at halftime from 17 touches. Bit of a quiet start to the third, possibly a lucky holding the ball free. I thought Strong got the handball away, to be honest. Probably non-owner's bias there. But then kicks that elusive goal. A lovely goal. Freo was switched off, let him roam around the 50, and then he made them pay. And non-owners pay as well. Last quarter, they put him behind the ball. He was on kicking duty. I don't even want to talk about him anymore. It just hurts. But fast forward to the end of the game, and he finished with 176 points. Amazing. If you've got the cash, he's the most informed defender in the comp and the most logical Docherty replacement. A Finn tag may be coming up soon though. Bailey Dale, a pod that's just going about his business quietly, and his scoring pattern is tracking up every week. 58, 83, 102 and a 136 against the Tigers last week means that his form is heading in the right direction. Could be some point sharing with Richards, but averaged over 30 touches over the last couple of weeks. Had a much higher kick to handball ratio this week. Laid some extra tackles, which was a reason for his highest score. If you're looking for a pod, he's only an 8k upgrade on Doch. Tommy Stewart. I was fully expecting a tight Finn tag from the first bounce. Thought, here we go, a low score so I can pick him up cheaper next week. But Finn was nowhere to be seen. Bruce was manning up on him. It seemed like the tag talk was a bluff. In the first, he got 6 easy touches for 25 points. It was a close call, but I reckon he should have had a free kick against for a throw early in the second, but not picked up by the umpires. That would have led to a set shot from about 20 metres out. It's just little things, isn't it? Pretty quiet in the second, only the 3 touches, but did score 20 points, so scored pretty well there. 45 at half-time, was looking a little bit below par. Pretty similar in the second half, to be honest. He played okay, but the ball wasn't down there as much, so a 92 was okay-ish at the end of the day from only the 20 touches. The ball wasn't really in Hawthorn's defensive, in Geelong's defensive half in the third and fourth quarter anyway. We've already seen this bloke ceiling already this year with a 160 plus, so the fact that we're presented with him at this price is very, very hard to pass up. There are some slight concerns around Duncan's inclusion into the side. Could that affect Stewart's output? A few kick-ins lost, possibly a disposal or 2 down. Look, I'm not sure. I just think that Stewart's capability can't be denied, and I think he is without doubt one of the best trading options this week. Nick Dacos, I tweeted at halftime, you know things are going bad for Collingwood when Dacos hits the post when running into an open goal. Just wasn't their night. He missed another opportunity that you would have expected him to convert. Must say, it looked to my eye that he may have had a mini flop, just a little one, nothing too bad, but I reckon it might have been there. But that's all. bad stuff out of the way. He dominated, 38 touches, 151 SuperCoach points. It feels so good to have him in my side. I can't see him not being the number one ranked SuperCoach defender by the end of the year. He is just so good, this bloke. He's so good. Jake Lloyd, the old Seagull, hit his highest score for the season with a 120, and 75% of his scores to date have been 100 plus. He's turning back the clock, not right back to uber primo Seagull clock, but certainly enough to becoming more relevant by the day. Could you pair up the old Seagull, the new Seagull, and Dacos? I couldn't, but if he pumps out another 100 plus this week, we'll be forced to take a deeper dive into the pick. Assad, another good game from him with 104. Safe as houses I have there. Lost a few points through some clangers. Had a bad turnover early from a little chip kick, which led to an early North goal. 25 touches, 6 marks. Pretty standard game. And just looking super consistent. 115, 113, 128, and a 104 to start the season is fantastic. I'd actually like to see how he goes without Doch. It will be a bit of an interesting watch, but I don't think, to be honest, it will affect him too much. Redmond, well, is a better pick than Ridley. That is for sure. I've never had a lot of faith in this pick due to the variance of his scoring. He's a player that I find really hard to get a read on. A 118, 100, then down to a 49, back up to 128. Got no idea what happened with that 49. Jonathan Spills did raise his name in the sword play potty this week, so there must be some merit to the pick. But due to the fact that I can't really get a read on him, I can't give advice either way. Go for it if you like him. If not, you can skip him as well. I just find it really hard to give advice with Redmond, sorry. Luke Ryan lost his number one defender ranking this week to Dacos, but still a solid game with another 100-plus score. Was quiet in the first. Crows made the most of their inside 50 opportunities and were playing well, but picked up his game in the next 3 quarters. And look, he should be a pretty Well, I say reliable. He should be. After watching him for the first 4 weeks, I would say that Luke Ryan should be pretty reliable. The time to jump on was after round 2, so no value at the moment. And I have heard whispers that he may be carrying a little bit of a niggle, so something just to watch out for. I like other players better, but you can't deny his start to the season so far. And here we go. Mr. Sam Docherty. Man. 17 from 5 touches in the first. This just set the scene. Finally gets a kick in, doesn't play on. Dropped 3 intercept marks in the second. Kicks it directly to Zeeble. Nothing went right. Was even getting burnt by players like Lockie O'Brien. That's how bad it was. To start the third, Zohar just pushes him off. Little don't argue. Doch couldn't even stick the tackle. Zohar goals. Nothing about this game was good for Docherty owners. Nothing. It seems, as things currently sit, that there is no light at the end of the tunnel with this pick. It's a failure. There's no coming back from this. Dawson owners, have a jaw-dropping 155 points lead on the Doch pick after only 4 rounds. The big decision was to hold or trade this week, but the decision's now been made for us, and he's out for 4 to 6. So he's a must trade out. For what it's worth, I was going to hold. Many reasons for and against holding, but they're all irrelevant now. You just got to get him out. Sis, massive intercept in the first few minutes, hit the ground pretty hard. Lovely goal assist to Bruce. Was getting a fair bit of it. Those brown and gold long sleeves were getting a fair bit of airtime. I love the long sleeves. I've always been a bit of a long sleever, mainly to hide my puny guns. But 8 touches for 37 points at quarter time. Was looking really good. Was doing the little things well. Touched a Hawkins shot for goal right on the line. But then rolled around to the second half. Started to play more of a lockdown role. The pressure was really on, particularly in the third. Had a grubber kick, which resulted in an O'Connor goal. Things just didn't go to plan at the end of the day, and it was a really poor result for owners. After round 1, he looked so safe, but he's now coming down in price. We definitely need to put him closely on our watch list and look to jump on potentially in a couple of weeks. 100% hold as an owner, though. And at the bottom of the list this week is Jack Sinclair. Had over 30 touches on the weekends and also kicked a snag, which was nice. Spent his time between defence and the midfield. Had 38% CBAs. Apart from the 63 in round 3, he's punched out 300 plus scores with 104, 124 and a 113. So looking like a solid selection and one that we can wait on and target, very similar to Sicily when he comes down in price, just say in a couple of weeks. On to the defenders, 250 to 500k. Currently sitting 5th for 3-round averages at the Giants, averaging more than Cogs coming. Whitfield, a super pod that keeps on surprising me, is Jack Buckley. 76, 99, 99, and 80 is a great return for those who jumped on early. But unfortunately for those that didn't, the ship has long sailed into the distance. Conor McKenna, the Irishman, hit back this week with a lovely 86 from 19 touches, 350 metres gained. Did have a few clangers, few nervous moments, took an intercept mark, then kicks it right into the man. I'd love to see him stab the ball more rather than lob it, because some of them are easy to intercept. And would someone tell this man to play on from the square? He had the majority of the kicking duties in Rich's absence, but so many times he kicked from inside that square. That was some of the bad, but he had a fantastic game. There was a lot of good. He was full of energy, tried to take the game on, intercepted, and really stepped up in some important moments. One in particular was when he intercepted the Collingwood handball in our forward 50, handballed it over to Charlie for a really crucial goal. This is exactly what we needed for his cash gen to continue to grow, and it's a great score to have in his prize cycle after that 57 last week. Cole, an easy hold, not much more to say there. There is a lot to say about this man. Will Day was watching him like a hawk. First clearance, next goal assist, then pushed into defence, free kick for a high tackle from Blitzarves, then won his own tackle on Blitzarves, had a blistering start, and then, wow, it was then I knew that I should have followed through with Ridley today. So I thought I should have. We didn't know what was going to happen a little bit later on the game, but look, we didn't see him after that stage for about 10 minutes. Then he was right back in again. 4 clearances in the first quarter. He was always on the move and was often the first to get his hands on it. Really aggressive as well. 7 touches for 37 points. But those touches really impactful. Great inset mark in the second. Got up high. Just brilliant to watch this guy. Another inset with about 40 seconds to go. Had a shot for goal, but couldn't make the distance in those conditions. On a dry day, I think it would have sailed through. With about 5 minutes to go in the third, they put him behind the ball. Faded slightly in the fourth. The Hawks of Scott dominated, but this bloke can hold his head high and was one of the biggest eye tests of the year for me. I think it was 8 tackles that he laid, copped some decent hits. Super, super tough, this kid. He earned every one of his points. But, and there is a but, he did lay what they refer to as a dangerous dumping tackle. So he's been rubbed out for 2 weeks now. He was the recommended buy-in last week, and I'm almost certain to bring him in 2 weeks when he returns from suspension. With the amount of trades that we have, you could move him on, but I'll just try and cover for now if you have a decent option to do so, because his break-even's 14, his 3 rounds is 115. I think they can go 105 plus for the rest of this year as soon as he returns. As I said, just the eye test did everything for me. Just a super, super performance against Geelong. Remember, they got absolutely smashed in the second half as well. Nick Haynes, I put him on the radar a couple of weeks ago. He's looked good, not smashing the ball out of the park, but an 85, 89, 94 and a 117 are solid scores, and the pattern is going up every week. Looks like the Haynes of old, free from injury, but still probably a little bit injury prone for mine. As I said, he is getting older, won't average enough to be a keeper, but has a great role. 1 year of solid history. It's not enough to make me pick him, but you may have other ideas. Hunter Clark, another apology needed. This bloke hit back, good points per minute, hit the ton with a 101 from 27 touches. Another player whose scoring pattern is going up each week, 54, 60, 80 and a 101. But like Haynes, not a keeper, and pretty much for me sits in no man's land. Jimby, his worst performance of the year, but we have to forgive him. He looks sore, looks tired. I'm expecting him to have a rest soon. Was tagging at times last week, played some times in defence. But as I said, just looks buggered. A certain hold, but we may need to flip him earlier than expected, which is a bit of a shame. Hopefully he plays this week. A Stocker, as I've mentioned every week, just been a rock-solid selection. And for those that started him, a fantastic D4. McGovern on fire at the moment, and if you're a massive risk taker, then go for it. Doch is out for a while. There's still all the opportunity in the world there to score, but I took the risk last year, got burnt very early, so not a chance that I would consider, mainly due to durability. But look, if you want to go there, you can. Wouldn't recommend it. Hunt, a 77 last week, already made, I think it's around 80k, so great starting option. Too late to move on him now, though. And Liam Jones didn't have a touch in quarter one. Seemed to prefer to spoil every time. Understandable, I suppose, when it's wet. No real highlights in the second, apart from an awesome 1v1 contested win near the boundary. Oh, that was a quick point hit, but apart from that, really, really disappointing. 45 points. At break even, still low. You can keep on to him for another week, but it may be a move look to try to get him down to someone or even get him up to Will Day when he comes back. Ollie Florent, he would have received some nice scaling if that goal sails through to win the game, but not to be. Had a decent start to the year, was a round one pick back in the day, looks really comfortable at the level now. First choice selection in their 22 each week. An 85, 107, 79, and a lovely 135 last week gives him a season average of just over 100, so a decent start from him. I couldn't bring him in though. Bose, only 61% tog in the first quarter, 2 disposals for 5 points. Does that remind you of another Geelong player? Cough, cough, Tanner. But ended up getting into the game to finish on 71 points from 22 touches. Had 83% tog, so not Tanner-like, like I was thinking in the first, but still not fantastic. Had a shot for goal that was touched on the line, so some lost points there possibly. I'd rather have him than a Jones in my defence at the moment, but I'm not really attracted to the pick, and I'm worried that it's potentially a trap, particularly bring him in now. Barris, with McGovern out, he stepped up as usual. Apart from an absolute shocker in round 2 where he scored 34 against the Giants, he's posted scores of 103, 110 and 116. Marks everything that comes his way. Great in a one-on-one contest. A lot to like. But you need to ask yourself, is it really worth going someone like Barris when we've got other options available that seem probably safer and more reliable? Probably not, unless you're looking to go a real lone wolf move here. Ed Richards, look, when you're in form, you're in form. His first touch was in set mark, kicked right onto his chest from Baker, had about 5 touches in the first 5 minutes. Great first quarter, 30 plus points. Then went absolutely missing in the second as Richmond started to dominate and only ended up on 37 points. Came back to post an 88, so a better second half, but nothing spectacular there. I'm still a little bit worried about the selection, but hey, he's a good player and shouldn't scored too many points, I don't think, with Dale. Arioli, bit of a roller coaster. 2 great games in round 1 and 4 with a 126 and 136, but then a below par 75 in round 2 against the Crows and a lowly 56 against the Pies in round 3. So too inconsistent for me. I think you'll laugh and you'll cry with this pick from week to week. Jordan Ridley, a very frustrating pick. Looks good for stages during the game, but then just gets sent to the bench for large periods of the time. I just don't get it. He shouldn't be off for that long in the role that he plays, but it does seem like Scott likes to rest all of his players. Only 2 players recorded more than 90% tog, and that was Kelly and Martin. Disposal count by quarter was 3, 5, 5, 8. Unfortunately, we aren't seeing enough of those 8 disposal quarters, and this is very un-Jordan-like. He only went at 67% efficiency. We don't normally associate him with being a butcher. At this stage, he seems to be a bit of a fake premium, possibly a luxury upgrade if you can afford to do so. His break-even isn't too scary, so you can wait for, I'll keep on bringing him up, say a Will Day if he tickles your fancy in a couple of weeks, or if not, you could even go up to a Stewart this week while he's got a low break-even. Just not a bright future with the Ridley pick. In saying that, I am holding, crossing my fingers and hoping for now. And Hayden Young, first possession came with only 2 minutes to go on the quarter, and that was an easy inset mark on the chest where Rob kicked it directly to him. Almost a strong contested intercept to start the second near the boundary line, but not paid. Just didn't go his way. Had a decent second quarter to be on 31 points at halftime. Nothing special in the second half, ending on 64 points for the game. Yeah, he's lost 40k last week, which has been an absolute killer for owners. Again, if you, one of those picks where if you go with a Young over a Dacos, you don't even bother about doing the maths. On to the defenders under 250k, and Mr. Constable sits at the top of the list again this week with that negative break-even of 52. Look, I'm just holding him for now. Even if he hits a projected score of 37, which may be a sub-type score, if he is selected as a sub, he'll be going up around 40k. So he's a hold for me at this stage. Use him as a loop. Come on, Stewie, get him into the side, son. Even as a sub, just give us some sort of cash gen from this bloke. The next fella, Mr. Michael Laney. Great start to this game. Early possessions, inset mark and a goal assist to Tex for the first Crows goal. And this just continued and continued. Intercepts everywhere. Absolutely killed it. Didn't use the ball overly well. A few turnovers there. But apart from that, he played his role to perfection. Looked like he'd played 100 games. And my man Spills was all over him last week and made a master move. How's this? He had so much faith in Michael Laney that he traded him in for his favourite player in the comp, which was Jordan Ridley. What a master stroke. An 82 and 103 in the last couple of weeks means that he will continue to rise, looking like the best rookie defender and still a pod. A ripping selection. Wow, just did not see this one coming. McVee, this bloke has surprised me in the last couple of weeks, punching out an 80 and a 70. Fantastic for cash gen, awesome throners. Not sure about job security, but the way he's playing, he definitely deserves his spot. I wouldn't necessarily personally be jumping on, as he's already scored a 50 and a 23, so every chance he goes low next week. But as an owner, an easy hold for now. For those who are considering though, Shorty is a fan and thinks there is some meat on the bone to be had with this one, so something to consider there. Tyler Young, initially I was worried about job security, but I didn't catch earlier news that Tarrant had gone down in the VFL again and will be on the sidelines for longer than expected. That's great news for this fella, so given his price, he's probably the one that you go down to if you need to downgrade down back. He's getting better every week, 34, 52 and a 61. That's positive scoring pattern there. They have a few tools unavailable at the moment, so I think he could be okay short term. More of a bench option, obviously, but if you are really desperate, you could bring him in. I know he's gone up. This is, again, if you are really desperate. Cowan, talk about consistent. He has gone 351s in a row. How's that? Decent first quarter, 16 points from 3 touches with a nice contested win early. Travelled along okay after that with another couple of nice moments, but nothing special. Look, many rookies may need a rest soon. He could be one of them. A certain hold for now. Spills' big call this week is that he goes another 51, so Cam Mooney would be all over that with a bit of numerology. Darcy Milmot, Pepsi Max King. Oh, look, it was okay this week. Kicked a goal, had some nice moments. There was one particular play where he showed so much composure, won the contested pill, spun under pressure, gave the release handball. That ended up in a goal. Lions coaching staff really rate him, and that's because of the small acts like that. Still a bench option if possible, but doing his job, hold for now. And he's one of those rookies who I can't really see needing a rest at this stage, like some of the other blokes that we're faced with at the moment. And Campbell Chesser, an absolute sell, unless you want a loophole. Injured and scoring potential is among the worst in the comp. On to the midfielders, 500k plus. Up the top, we have Caleb Strong. Had a low 70 to start the season, but then up to an acceptable 101, then a huge 146, then another acceptable 100 right on the dot. For me, sits just behind the main pack of premium mids, but performing better than Brayshaw at the moment. I'd skip him for me. I just don't have enough confidence. Tim Kelly, maybe I haven't given this man enough respect because he's played really well. Scores of 72, 127, 97 and 139 are actually pretty decent. Apart from a low disposal count in round 1, he's racked up 32, 33 and 36 last week. Certainly flown under the radar, and I probably owe him an apology. He must have heard me say that Jimby was the best Eagles mid. The trust factor, though, again, still isn't there for mine due to his low floor, but if he keeps this up, he could be a budget option with a slim chance to feature around the top 10 to 12. Jordan De Goey, a decent game from this man. 21 touches, 6 clearances, kicked a goal for 107 Supercoach points. 30-point difference in his Supercoach to DT ratio. Only scored the 77 fantasy points, but that's all good because we play Supercoach. Libba, 8 touches, 4 clearances and 2 goals in the first half. The conditions really suited him. He was lapping it up, and he didn't stop there. Ended up with 23 touches, 10 tackles, 7 clearances, and 2 goals for 141 points. Currently, the second highest averaging mid in the game, with 116.5 for the season. 118, 87, 120, and 141 over the first 4 rounds. CBAs were down a little bit. Had 90 plus in rounds 2 to 3, but down to 64% last week. Not really a concern for me. He'll always be one of the main men in the guts. If you're looking for a pot in form, he could be your man. Josh Kelly, 28 touches, 6 tackles and 2 goals. That would suggest a pretty big score for me. So, 108? That seems unders. Maybe like a contested pill, but as an owner, I'd feel slightly ripped off. 73% CBA rate over the weekend is fine. He looks to be a great selection this year. He's looking really good, but he's already missed 1 game. Not his fault, I know, but those wacky injuries are always on the cards with Jelly. I hope he can stay fit, and if so, should definitely be around the top 8 for mids this year. LDU, Cherry was playing on him early, seemed paranoid about LDU's movements, gave away 2 free kicks for holding frees. He actually had 3 free kicks for just in the first quarter, 12 disposals, 5 contested for 40 points. Me all thinking, here we go, another 150s on the cards. But then Carlton made a slight switch. Hewitt started running with him, not a hard tag or anything, but I think that was a better matchup than Chera. Lo and behold, gets another holding free kick against Curnow. Everyone just wanted a piece of him, but fast forward 102 points at the end of the game. It wasn't great, nothing like we saw in the first 2 weeks. That's only really, 65 points over 3 quarters, but he has made a handy profit and still looking like a top mid for me this year. Warner, after a couple of lean weeks, had more of a ceiling type game with 137. Massive upgrade on his sub-60 score last week. Really set it up in the first, had one of his trademark goals on the run from 50, went bang. That's why I love watching him. We've seen the ups and the downs of Warner this season already, so we need to see this form and this 137 type stuff for a bit of a stretch, then we can look at him closely. Noah Anderson, like Warner, heard me, gave him a bit of a bake the other week. 38 touches, kicked a goal and ran riot with 134 points, but it is his first 100-plus score for the year. I'm not getting too excited yet. He'll have to do this much more consistently, like Warner, for us to consider him. Pendles. I've got no idea. At his age, how this man still has so much time and space. When he has the ball, time just stops. Such a great player to watch. One of the unluckiest players not to win a Brownlow, in my opinion. One of. There are a few of them, but look, could you? In current form, you probably could, but does his current form continue? He's spending a lot of time in the middle. 129, 120, 102, and 109 in the first 4 rounds. He's going better than Rory Laird, so hasn't gone under the ton, which is good. If you're a mad Collingwood fan and you just want to turn back the clock, go for it. But I just don't know if his age, if he can do it. But massive respect to this man. What an absolute gem. A legend of the competition. Tommy Green, do they love this bloke in the middle? 96% CBA rate last week, up from 86% the week before. Had a dominant start, plenty contested pill, almost impossible to tackle, and is already one of the strongest blokes in the comp. We call him the Green Bull for a reason. A bit handball happy, but that's always been part of his game. Didn't use it overly well at times, which can hurt his score. Only the 99 points, but he's certainly passed the eye test again and was the 3rd highest scorer for the Giants. And Cripper, what do we say about Cripper? The start to the game, it was a very slow start to the game. Only 11 disposals to half time, but then he went bang, hit back, gathered 19 disposals in the second half. Again, similar to Green, very handball happy, had a 1-4 kick to handball ratio. We definitely want that to come closer to a 50-50 split, but in saying that, 22 of those disposals were contested, and at times you just didn't have time to put on the boot. 121, 99, 112, and 114 is very consistent, but we'd love to see a really big ceiling game soon. Track is at a pretty mediocre season from a Supercoach perspective. Pair of 97s to open the season, followed by 119 and 103. Snagged 3 against the Eagles on the weekend, but that's not an overly special achievement. Did also have his lowest CBA count for the year with only 43%. First time that's been in the blue. Has a friendly fixture coming up, but he's not screaming pick me. Just on the watch list for now. Jack McRae off the ground early with a dislocated finger, then comes on, gifted a 50-metre penalty, easy set shot for goal. CBA rate still isn't great. 54% on the weekend with a season average of 51%. He's 4th in line now behind Libba, and Treloar. He seems to have lost his ceiling, which is a shame, and not someone I'd be actively looking to trade in. The role just isn't there. Brayshaw, better game on the weekend, had a decent second half to give owners a pretty solid score with a 115. Hopefully he can keep that up for those who held the faith. He'll have to do a lot more for non-owners to consider him though, I think, but good to see him hit back in some small way. Clary, after only 20-something points at half-time, he got right on his bike, just had a standard type of Clary game, maybe a few points under for new owners given the fact he was playing West Coast, but a solid score nonetheless. Clary over Laird was definitely the player this year, and he looks every bit like our M1 for 2023, averaging 130 with scores of 113, 135, 156, and 121. And here is his next month. Look away, non-owners. Essendon, Richmond, North, and Gold Coast. He shouldn't let you down, provides the safest captaincy option in the game. If you can bring him in, then go for it. But don't be ruining structures, trading out good plays just to get him in. You will need to have him in your side at some stage. Now would be the best time out of all with the fixture coming up, as I mentioned. No doubt about that. But don't force it if you need to just ruin too many things. That's the best advice I can give. Took had a really good first month. Consistent performance on the weekend. Disposal count by quarter, for example, 9, 6, 9, 8, and half those were contested. Laid the 8 tackles, had 10 clearances. A fantastic all-round game. The 4th highest averaging mid. Hasn't gone under triple figures this year, and definitely on my radar as a future upgrade. I'm a huge fan of the trademark, and my favourite non-Lions player. Absolute gun. Would love to have him in my side. Zeret, look, I'm not going to go through all the numbers because he's definitely more of a mid-season upgrade target when his price will inevitably go down to something, at a friendly range. It just happens every year with Zeret. Titch had a shocker this week. 20 touches, only 156 metres gained for 64 SuperCoach points. Well, it's a possibility that there is a link between his low score and the Collingwood ruck situation, and if that's the case, it's not getting fixed anytime soon. He may have just had an off game like many other Pies players, I'm not too sure, but basically he had zero impact on this game, and owners would be sweating if he puts in another similar performance next week. Lachie Neale seems to be playing well, but not scoring overly well. Doesn't look like Lachie Neale of last year, and we're not seeing those massive disposal games from him. At the moment, it's a pretty easy pass, but as an owner, I would hold and hope for a massive game against the Roos this week. As non-owners, keep him on the watch list, and if his form picks up, we could look to bring him in at well under his starting price. I think he's playing more of an unselfish game, being the captain, and an average disposal count. Well, if you compare that this year to last year, it's right down. Just not the year for premium mid so far, is it? Captain Bomb, well, his first possession ended up in holding the ball free, and Lynch converts for a goal. Not a great start to be in the negatives, but as we know, this man always comes back. A few nice clearances, then a goal assist to Daniel. We know that these good things keep coming. Holding the ball free with a really aggressive tackle on Samson Ryan. A cool 49 points at quarter time. To start the second, had 3 blokes tackling him, but still gets a clearance. Took a spec in the second, but just snuck it in from behind. Spielman, he got him as captain. Won't go into everything, but look, third quarter did spend some time forward. I think it was only 3 touches at 33%. Bloody Bevo, like, what are you doing, man? But again, did get back into the game. All in all, a good performance for 122 points from 29 touches. So still very happy to have him in my side. Parrish, his most preferred CBA mid for Eston, along with Merritt, with a 77% average over the first 4. Scored okay in the first 2 weeks, but then down to an 82 and a 98, hence his high break even. Look, Anzac Day is coming up, so maybe wait a week and jump on for his 150 against the Pies. Look, surely it's going to happen. Happens every year. Loves Anzac Day, does Darcy Parish. Callum Mills, just the 87 points from 21 touches, was coming off a wing at times. CBAs are becoming more non-existent by the day. Only had 27% on the weekend. Rowbottom had 95%, so he, along with Goulden, are eating into all of his time this year. I'll be staying right away for now. Rory Laird. Aish played on him. Oh, it's the little things, should have recorded a tackle, but holding man free kick against instead. That's an early 7-point turnaround. Then gets a holding the free tackle 4, but they take advantage. Doesn't get a possession, so frustrating. Come on, let him finish off his good work. Let him take the free kick out to the stat sheet. Aish was wearing him really, really closely during stoppages. There were a couple of times when Laird got the first shark, but just got tackled immediately. Had 0 time to get rid of it. And that little thing, he did a bit of a dribble type kick, but an Adelaide player collected it, and then the same play led to a goal. He lost a point for that kick somehow. I didn't get it, but anyway, just little things. Overall, 7 touches, 4 contested, 86% efficiency, 2 tackles in the first term for 31 points. That was looking good. The issue for Laird is that he literally doesn't get an easy possession. Only 3 disposals in the second quarter to be on 48 points. So that start of 31, I always sort of, multiply it by 4 for rough average. I think, 124, yeah, that's okay. But down to 48 points, all of a sudden looking sub-ton, and that's what it was at the end of the day. I can't stand Aish. Left Brisbane for peanuts. Tags Laird, his boss. The bloke doesn't even use his umbrella. So look, fast forward, 79 points at 3-quarter time, and then such a soft holding free against to Sarong, soft as butter. A couple of those loose ball gets to start the last. Quickly puts 12 points on his score. Then he goes to the bench. No idea why he's rotated so early all the time. Then he spent some extra time off. Again, I think it was in the third. For some reason, Nix rests him for the last 5 minutes. I'm not too sure why. So, super frustrating. Look, I think I've got to admit now that I don't think that he actually comes back to 2022 Rory Laird form. but I'm just praying that even if you can stick around that 3-round average for a season average, 119, I'll probably take it at this stage. On to the midfielders, 250 to 500k. Cam McKenzie did a couple of nice things in the first, missed a relatively easy chance for goal, maybe a 70-30 chance, then had a set shot straight out from 40, and you wouldn't believe it, the bloke on the mark touches it. An absolute shank, just went on at every point I could on field, 16 points from 4 touches in the first. Oh man, in the third in particular, it was like game points, lose points. Would lay a tackle, then lay a high tackle, finally gets another kick, but it goes straight to Guthrie. Certainly not the young man's day. But with Day out this week, I think we'll get more opportunities in the midfield. So let's hope for a 70 plus. Hopper, 2 shots for goal in the first. One was an easy miss, and the other was just touched on the line. Could have been a 40-point first quarter. Another shot rushed through in the second. Then after some Bolton brilliance, he had a 4th shot and right through the middle. Finally, that goal also brought the Tigers back to within 4 points. Was their second highest scorer, only behind Dusty at halftime with 58 points. Looking like a lovely 100 plus, similar to the week before. I know he missed last week, but the week before that when he did play. But then he was like a ghost. Less than a 20-point second half was super disappointing, and basically Taranto took over all of his scoring there. But we keep him for now. Still got a low break even of 15. Could we even look to flip him the week after? Possibility. All depends on how he goes this week. Will Ashcroft, a solid game from the young gun, 26 touches, was named in the best again. We want probably another 10 points on that, but still okay. Everyone owns him. Callaghan had a good start to the game. Thought he did better than a 15-point first quarter. Ended up with 25 touches for the game, which was awesome, but only went at 68% efficiency to go with only the 3 contested. So that's always going to lower your score. A 65 is okay, but could have been a lot better. People that traded him out would have been sweating a bit, but I still think it was the right decision. A Danger, I couldn't pick the old fella, but still need to give him some credit with a break-even that sits below 50. 119 points on the weekend was a good return. Mason Wood, Spills' draft man, scored 89 points, which was his first sub-ton for the year. The ultimate pod, but I can't see him keeping up this form. Super draft get, though, as I said. James Warpool started in the centre for the first bounce. Nice contested mark early, but kicked it directly to Guthrie. Then he gives away a free kick as Fergus marked it. I was spewing, but good to see that he was trying to protect a teammate there. 17 points from only the 4 touches in the first quarter. Then when the wet conditions came, he got into it. More tackles were on offer. It turned into a physical contest, which is what Warps is all about. No disrespect, but when you take away a bit of the skill, it benefits his game and hides some deficiencies as well as highlights some of his strengths to his game. He provided some good forward pressure, but only the 9 touches and 2 tackles in the second half for a final score of 75. So that was super disappointing, given the fact that I thought all the conditions were playing right into his hands. Will Setigo, some are looking to move him on, but I'm holding. He's still scoring okay. CBA rate is down, but still has a decent role. If you want to move him on and getting up to someone else, then go for it. There is still a bit to play out though with Setigo, and my advice is to hold firm for now. We've already seen his ceiling, and if he has another spike game, he should go over 500k. In saying that, he's only gone over 100 once in 4 games, so it's far from a guarantee, and if you feel like he doesn't have another big one in him soon, then feel free to say goodbye. And as always, a shout out to my boys, Joey and Big J from the Centre Bounce. Make sure to check those legends out. And finally, Lockie Whitfield, just keep him on your watch list for a future DPP budget option. On to the midfielders under 250k, and from a buyer's perspective, not a lot to see here. At the top, we got Will Phillips, a decent game from him, particularly with Simpkin and LDU back on the side. That was always our main concern. Should have received a holding the ball free in the first. No idea how that wasn't called, and would have had a shot for goal. Very unlucky. Dropped a mark late in the second, but mopped up his own mess and kicked the goal. Really needed that to deliver an acceptable halftime score. Comben gave him a fair cook for burning him as well when he took a shot for goal from around 40, didn't make the distance, but all in all a decent game. Still not entirely sure about job security, but he is a preferred option at this stage over Greenwood, but scoring potential is fine, and if he plays, I think he's fieldable. Baker, only the 45 this week after a brilliant display against the Lions. Doesn't look like a reliable on-field option, but just leave him on the bench for now, and we're lucky that that spike score will still be in his price cycle for another week. Thought he actually played okay, though. This bloke, Roaston, looking like a dud pick at this stage. I brought him in. Look, Check out my round review and I explain why. It was a little bit through desperation. Really didn't want to do it myself, but only the 35% CBAs wasn't impactful at all, apart from having a couple of nice moments. Had a lovely kick to advantage in a goal chain, but they literally brought him on for 5 minutes, benched him again for 6. Then comes back into the CBA, lines up on Zeret, just watches him scoop up the ball for an easy clearance. Just wasn't being accountable enough. Looked lost. Oh man, even when he got a hold on the ball 3-4, they took advantage, robbed him of a disposal. So an easy pass and the wrong decision to trade him in. Hollands, his lowest score of the year with a 52 on the weekend, but still playing his role really well. Hard worker. He should still have some decent scores in him. And Elijah Hewitt, a 2, 34 and a 24 means no-go zone for me. On to the big boys in the rucks. At the top of the list this week, we have the Rats. Did a couple of nice things in the first 5 minutes, lots of spoils, but then started to intercept more. Looked fantastic, the most impactful defender in the first quarter. 30 points through his efforts. Looked a little bit sore after an early contest in the second, but another solid quarter. The first time this year where we've seen 2 good scoring quarters in a row, and he was sitting at 55 from 7 touches at half time. The wet conditions didn't suit him overly well. The ball lived in Geelong's forward half of the quarter, but he still managed to get up to 71 at 3/4 time. I was watching him like a hawk, so still tracking nicely. At the end of the day, he played his best match for the year and ended up with the 88 points. Great timing as well for those who used him to fill in for Jared Witt. The ruck DPP has already come in handy for some, so all of a sudden, I'm again rapt to have this bloke as some cover just in case, and best of all, he is now starting to make some coin. A really nice spike game to have in his system for the next couple of price rises. Samson Ryan, with Nank and Soldo down, his job security just became a lot better. After being subbed the week before, I took him off my trade-in targets, but things have turned quickly with Nank the Tank going down. Tom Lynch is out as well, so he's now got a little bit of time, I think. He did go up over 30k last week, but only the 44 points against the Dogs. But if he can slot into the number 1 ruck spot for even a couple of weeks, he may deliver some decent scores. Obviously great ruck cover and a nice swing with Madden or the Rat. He's coming up against the Peanut this week, so lock in a 150. The Peanut will get a suspension. That's probably going too far, but there is merit to selecting Ryan this week. But keep in mind he does come up against Grundy and Witts after the Peanut, so I'm not exactly sure when Soldo's back. If it's sooner rather than later, that may put you off slightly, but I think for now, due to the fact that you don't have fantastic options coming in this week, that Ryan is still definitely someone that you could consider. Brodie Grundy did what we expected him to do against West Coast. This was always on the cards. A great captain choice for the week. Completely dominated and looked like the Grundy of old, but the competition was bottom of the barrel. Seems like a fantastic short-term option, but with Maxi waiting in the wings, his time is limited. The advantage is that he makes some good coin short-term, and for some, that may be enough to say it's worth the trade. Again, no need to go through the numbers as it was against BJ, but does have a nice couple of weeks coming up against Phillips and Draper, who have actually been okay, and then most likely he'll face Samson Ryan, as we just mentioned, which should be a bit of a day out. It's too late to jump on now. The time was last week. It's looking like the Grundy move could work out, though, if you did bring him in after round 3. Shrek, my boy. A few early, I'll tell you what, almost possession by possession, I took down notes about this bloke. I was just rapt to see him return to form. A few early touches, hit outs to advantage, nice inside 50 to Amos, then a nice intercept mark. Free kick in the ruck contest, had a nice little patch to start off. Hopes were looking high. 26 points in the first 6 minutes of match time compared to Rob, who was sitting on -3. Then spends his 7 minutes on the bench. Frustrating. So just get the man back on. He was dominating. Scored 2 points for the rest of the quarter. I really hate Longmuir at times. But as I said, I was riding every move. To start the second, he taps it to Rob, but then follows up with a strong tackle. And then the next contest to hit out to advantage to Bray. Up to 50 points with 12 minutes remaining. I was rejoicing. Hitting the roof. He almost juggled contested intercept mark. So close. But I thought that this is the bloke that I selected in my starting team. This was the preseason Shrek that I was hoping for. Then to the bench again. Goes backward 1 point in the next 10 minutes. It's almost a pattern here. It's, super tough to watch, particularly when you're an owner. But Then got on another mini roll to be sitting at 67 points at halftime. Had a slowish third quarter, but then got a real boost with 30 seconds to go with a nice contested inset mark and a handball to go up to 91. Towards the end, though, his hit-outs to advantage weren't even getting scored points. The 3,300, for those that don't know, the maximum amount of points that you can have for a game, Supercoach-wise, is 3,300 points. It is capped. So those points had actually been eaten up quickly. So a little bit ripped off. The scaling was a little bit funny towards the end. But look, just great to see him in good form and hope out that he can smash, let's just say, another nice 110 plus this week. Not too sure. Maybe hoping for a little bit too much. But yeah, wrapped up the last couple. Timmy English. I said last week that he had so many avenues to score, including being marked by Marlon Pickett in defence. You know, Bailey Dale pretends like he's going for goal, then sees this ridiculous matchup, and it's as easy as you like. English marks right through the middle. Then you wouldn't believe it. To start the second, soccers one off the ground for another goal. Such a tormenting experience not owning him. Around the ground is unreal. Another 70-point first half. Put another 70-plus points on in the second half as well. My man Janeth jumped on. Lots of people are at the moment. It is so tough as a non-owner, and I think at the moment, if you can find a way to bring him in, just do it. Look, I'm just going to pray that something happens. And I'm not wishing injury on him or anything like that, but just pray that, you know, that scoring pattern goes down. I'm still a little bit burnt by him last year after bringing him in. I traded out Isaac Heaney for him, and he just hit rock bottom, did Timmy English. So, look, as non-owners, we're just hoping that something goes wrong with the pick, but there's a lot of hope. If you've got him in your side, well done, fantastic. He's the hottest player in the comp, bar none, and just dominating at the moment. It's tough not having him. Let's get to Nank. Well, he's a must-trade out, unfortunately. Injured, but what a start to the year he had. Rowan Marshall, this bloke was subbed against Moyle. Bugger you, Ross. I'm going to try and forget about that and look forward to his matchup this week against Ash Johnson and Dan McStay. Surely he goes 120 plus. And my man Shorty was on the Swordplay Potty this week. Make sure you check that out. And his big call was that Rowan would go 150 and could even be a sneaky but risky captain option. I'm holding for now, hoping he can go close to matching English just for this week, just according to the matchup. Certainly not expecting him to go anywhere near English for the rest of the season, but just for a week. Come on, Rowan, do something for us, son. Jared Witts was a late out this week, which killed some coaches. I think he gets up for this round, but I'd be a little bit nervous as an owner. If he's out again, you could look to implement Janeth's handcuff strategy and maybe trade in Moyle as your R3 to cover. And this means that whenever Witts misses, you'll have guaranteed cover with Moyle, assuming he's fit. I don't mind that strategy. And quickly on Moyle, I haven't included him here as he's only played the one game, but held his own for, I think it was a 60-plus score. Didn't look too out of place for mine, and there's been a little bit of talk that the Suns could even look to play 2 rucks. That would be a disaster for Witts owners, but yeah, that handcuff strategy of Janeth's, don't actually mind that, particularly if for some reason Witts doesn't get up for this week. Think he does, though. Rob, 22 at halftime, well beaten by Shrek. A 50-point second half was better, but a 71 is a pretty pooey score, just not in calculations for us this year, unless something drastic changes. So the rucks at the moment, if you got English, you are wrapped. Grundy's looking all right short term. Shrek is coming back to form. Witts you're a little bit worried about. Marshall is a bit so-so. The bloke got subbed. Rob is an absolute disaster. And the first couple of blokes on the screen there, they should be making money. Things aren't too looking bad at the moment. On to the forwards, 500 plus. At the top of the list, we have Mr. Charlie Curnow. After a 62 in round 1, he's gone a 103 from 5 goals, 107 from 2, and then a 130 from bag of 6 last week. Fun player to watch, a star of the comp, but you know how I feel about key position players, so not for me, but if you think he can keep it up, he would be a massive pod. Timmy T continued on his merry way, 79% CBA, so heap of the pill. Just been a ripping selection. We've all got him. Did have a pretty quiet first half, but hit back in the third to get up to 70 points at three-quarter time, and then just went bang after that. Had a set shot. I reckon it was about a 45-degree angle from 25 out. I was waiting for an out in the full, but snaps on the left and kicks truly. Real clutch goal, so well done, Timmy. That certainly got him some points on the board, and that is the difference between using the ball well and butchering it like he usually does. But well done, son. Great game from him. Jesse Cameron, I tell you, someone requested him last week, and I need to get the name. I will give you a shout out next week, mate. Apologies for that. But yeah, he was requested, and wow, what a game it was. Kicked the Cats' first goal, steadied them up after a very slow start to the game. Then kicked their next one, had 2 on the board, then a lovely assist to Holmes with about 10 seconds to go. He was responsible for Geelong being in the game in the first quarter, to be honest. 49 points through his efforts, very well deserved. Then a massive mark in the second quarter, kick his third. As I said, literally responsible for every goal that Geelong had kicked. It was such a great individual effort. Bullet pass to Isaac Smith for another behind was another play that stood out to me. Look, fast forward to the end of the game, he finished with 7 goals, 22 disposals, 9 marks, a bunch of assists. It was a perfect game, apart from running into the umpire with his final goal celebration, 156 points. Well done, Jezza. Rosie, look, the roll's there, 91% CBAs on the weekend, but just wasn't his night. Couldn't follow up his showdown performance, but he'll be fine. Josh Dunkley, still yet to see his ceiling. This is getting slightly frustrating, very frustrating, particularly from a Brisbane supporter's point of view, but we've all got him. We don't trade him. I'm sure we'll see a big game soon, but I have been saying that for the last month. And Cogs, down the bottom, he's gone from the prom king in round 1 to the villain in round 4 after a blistering round 1. Many jumped on him early before his predicted price jump, but that move has been a bit of a train wreck. We all know this with Cogs. He goes through some quiet stretches, and that's what history suggests. 143, 107, then down to a 58, which I think he was ripped off slightly. That descent free kick was ridiculous. And then just this 71 points last week. His CBA rate is fine, so no concern there. But I think this is a bit of an issue. Apart from laying 7 tackles in a quarter against West Coast, he's only laid 1 in round 1, 3 in round 3, and then just the 1 last week. But I think he'll hit form again. And as much as it hurts, as an owner, I'd probably hold. Surely he's going to be a top 8 forward, but as non-owners, we keep him firmly on our watch list, and we should be able to jump on him as a cheap fall and premium pretty soon. Look, we'll need to see some form first. In saying that, he's got a huge ceiling, and he only needs 1 spike match to start to rise again. On to the forwards, 250 to 500k. Harry Sheasel, man, this guy makes good decisions, makes them quickly. Lots of fast, quick handballs, had 9 touches for 26 points at quarter time, but kick-in led to a turnover in the second, ended up mopping up, though, the next play. Didn't let it get to him. Love that attitude. A consistent second and third, ending up on 76 points at three-quarter time. But then the young man went bang. He didn't think he had enough of it yet, so he came out in the last and collected a lazy 15 disposals. 15! That included inside 50s, rebound 50s, the bloke was everywhere. Every bit looking like the keeper with another 111 points to add to his season total. What a phenomenal player he is. Owens, 27 touches, 2 goals, 2 from 90% game time. Super effort from this man. 19 of those were contested. He was a beast. 74% of his time was played in the offensive half. He also laid 5 tackles, some great forward pressure. Before this week, he's gone 76, 97, another 76. So not massive, but he could be a quick cash grab if you think he can go, say, 90 plus next week, as well as give you some good on-field points. Not for me, as a few things need to go right for him, I think anyway, to make enough cash. Chandler, finally, when I say finally, this is for non-owners, his first real low score of the year with a 59. Looks like the ship had already sailed before last week. 12 touches, kicked a nice goal, but a mediocre game for what he has produced so far. Still making money though, which is nice. Allen, been a good starting pick, almost at 300k, 64, 68, 97 and 71, means that he should make another 50k over the next few. Rochelle, super talent, but probably too inconsistent scoring-wise. Looks great in that hybrid mid-forward role, though. And Francis, we've seen the good, the okay, the bad, the ugly. Cops a fair bit of criticism, this bloke, but you can't deny his talent. Kicked a goal as part of his 95-point effort. If you can average 95 from here on, it would be a big win for owners. Big question marks on whether or not he can, though. Tucker had a decent game and is on the bubble, but an awkward price point. Did get a bit of it playing through defence and looked much better than Goda, for example, in the side. Luke Jackson, solid couple of weeks for the big man. I still can't trust him. I still don't trust Shrek, but I suppose he could be good ruck cover. Just can't see him averaging enough to be a top ruck or forward though, so a pretty easy skip for mine. Amadi, the party was called off pretty early, wasn't it? Well, very, very early, to say it true. A big trap, unfortunately. Had a feeling that would be the case. Jay-Z, oh man, a decent game, but frustrating at times. Free kick in the first, which was very, very close to being a contested intercept mark. Took the hit like he has for years. A nice couple of plays a minute later. Contested win, nice handball. Gets it back for a little dart to relieve the pressure. Playing loose out of the back of defensive stoppages was always in good positions. Even little things like lays a handball off, then gets held on to. Bonus free kick for super first quarter, 11 touches, over 90% efficiency, 3 of those contested, a tackle, but interestingly, no marks, 37 points up to this stage. Bit of a kick-to-kick with Taylor to end the first half, junk timed his best, bit slower in the second, a holding free kick against, which led to a Curnow goal, hurt his score, and then he gave that 50-metre penalty away. I reckon it was absolute rubbish. I'm not a bad lip reader, and I could clearly say, or see, that Jay-Z said that was the softest free kick he's ever seen. Super frustrating. And again, smashed his score. With about 10 seconds to go, had a potentially goal-saving spoil, but that doesn't do much for his SuperCoach score. Was on 76 points at half-time. I think he was on exactly the same points as Sheasel, but didn't do a lot in the last. Ending on a respectable but below par score, in my opinion, of 92. Still very much a potential keeper, in my opinion, and does have some handy DPP incoming. Errol, solid game without being spectacular. 102 points from 20 touches. Had his highest tackle count for the year, which was really nice. That was 7. That helped him to reach 3 figures for the week. Just tracking along nicely and doing his job for us. Zach Butters had his highest CBA count for the year with 68%, 27 disposals, but just the 89 points. I think he'll come good, but he's just not looking like a top 6 forward at this stage. And Tommy Hawkins hit some form on the weekend with 104 points, but not in calculations for now. Just keep him on your watch list. And we'll finish off with the forwards under 250k. Thanks for sticking with me as always. Jacob Van Ruin on the bubble this week and at the top of the list. Really impressed in the first week and some went early. Scored 89 points from 3 goals, 6 tackles and a few marks. Great defensive pressure. Did some ruck relief work with 14% CBAs and played an absolute blinder. Last week, a little bit quieter. Upped his CBA rate, though, to 23%, which was good. Ended up with 53 points from 2 goals, but didn't lay a tackle. Dropped a couple of marks. Gawn and Brown are due to come back in soon. T-Mac performed really well, so job security may be an issue, but hopefully they'll just want to get some games into him, give him a bit of time. The best option on the bubble this week. Ruckman, now this is why you don't go early. From a 90 to a sub 25, a big fall from rookie Grace in just the 1 week. Didn't have too many opportunities at the first and missed an absolute sitter on the run. Nice little piece of play on the boundary line. Clever chip pass today in the second. Only 2 handballs, though, in that second quarter. Basically 0 impact. And as I mentioned, subbed out. That big score will only be in his system for the 1 week, and that low score will be in his system for 2. So, couldn't back it up. Unfortunately, someone that probably takes a step back in our calculations. Fergie had a really nice goal, couple of early possessions, 23 points from 3 touches at the end of the first. There was hope for a big score. An early shot for goal in the second. Bang, goes through. I was pumped. He was only on my bench, but boy, oh boy, did I need some rookie cash gen. Had another quick touch, and he was up to 47 in the blink of an eye. Nice little handball assist to C-Mac for a behind, then another handball assist to Bruce for a behind. He was involved in lots of their scoring chains up until half-time. But, like many of his Hawks teammates, didn't see it in the third, and then only 1 kick in the second half. Was an absolute ghost. Certainly a tale of 2 halves, but he went past his projected, will make some cash, and probably a better result than expected here. Kama, legend of a bloke, a young talent, an easy hold. Well done, my man. Long, been super impressive for a rookie, one that many of us missed, expecting a small forward for West Coast with limited opportunities. That's what I was thinking anyway, but he's been playing up the ground at times, having a real impact and easy hold there. Davey may need a rest soon, hold for now, mid-40s type score. Combin, he'll be a very slow burn. Menzie, more cash to be made, so hold there. Jones, he's on the bubble, but he's a pretty hard pass to me. Look at that break even. It's 17. It's in green, but 3 round average of 27. We just don't go near anything like that. And last player on the list for this week, Philippou. You could actually look to move him on soon, but at the same time, no rush to do so. But at this stage, again, looking like a bit of a slow burn. So that's it for now, guys. Hope you enjoyed. All the best of luck with your trade ins and your trade outs this week. And I'll see you soon in the next one. Cheers, bye.